Welcome to a new episode of the Let's Turn the Tide podcast by Veolia Near and Middle East. I'm your host, Nadine Zidani, sustainability expert and founder of MENA Impact, the first platform uniting the impact ecosystem in the Middle East North Africa region. Water scarcity affects half of the world's population, and the Middle East is home to over 10 of the 25 most water-stressed countries globally. Desalination is a crucial technology to overcome this issue, and it is the topic of today's episode. I'm delighted to welcome Erwan Rouxel, CEO of Veolia Oman, to explore more about desalination and why it is a solution to water needs in the region. Erwan, welcome to the Let's Turn the Tide podcast.
Good morning, Nadine. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure for someone like me to have this opportunity to speak about Veolia businesses.
It's a pleasure for us to have an expert on desalination on the podcast today. So I just said that you're the CEO of Veolia Oman. I guess you're based in Oman?
Yes, of course, I'm based in Oman. I'm living in Oman for many years now. So this market is a pretty well-known market for me.
Amazing. So I guess we're going to learn more as well about Oman today in the discussion.
We try.
So Erwan, I want to start the conversation by asking you, can you explain why water access is an issue in the Middle East and why desalination is one of the solutions?
Well, water is an issue in this region. That's right, Nadine. This region has been growing sharply, intensively, economically over the last decades, especially in the urban areas. So this region is facing a huge water stress. What does it mean being under water stress? It means that there is a gap in between water supply and water demand. This water demand, like I said, is continuously increasing. And at the same time, I mean, nobody can deny it. The climate is changing, and this climate change has an impact of the well-known water scarcity of this region. So the government need to find solutions and build heavy infrastructure for meeting this growing demand. And this is why desalination is a solution. When there is such a lack of fresh water sources, obviously the seawater becomes a fantastic and almost endless source of raw water to be pumped and treated for drinking purposes.
Can you give us the big picture of how much do we rely on desalination for fresh water in the region? I don't know if you have a view on that.
It's almost 90%.
Oh wow!
90% of the drinking water in the region, 80 to 90% is coming from seawater.
Okay, so desalination is a very important technology.
Desalination is a very important technology. It's a crucial tool for the authorities in all around this region. Like I said, to meet the growing demand in fresh water.
Can you explain quickly to our audience the desalination process? What are the key steps?
Sure. There are basically 4 steps. The first one is the pumping. You have to pump the water from the sea using big pipes and big pumps. We are calling it the seawater intake. These pipes can be kilometers long. And at the end of the pipe, there is usually some screens, which are, I would say, avoiding to pump anything else than just water. It's important to say it. We are only pumping water from the sea. We are not pumping fishes or any kind of other animals, just water. Then there is a second step. You have to pre-filtrate somehow the seawater in order to remove the solid material from this water that can be algae or dirt particles.
Mm-hmm.
And then this clean water, I would say, after this primary step of filtration, is sent to the core treatment process, the reverse osmosis process.
Mm-hmm.
Reverse osmosis process is based on membranes and very high pressure. The water is pushed through thousands of membranes at very high pressure, 60, 70 bars, and this process is creating a phenomenon, the reverse osmosis process. What is the reverse osmosis process? Is the separation of from the salt
Mm-hmm.
and the water.
Okay.
So you have on one side the salt and on the other side the pure water. This salt, which is separated from the water, is called the brine, and it's usually discharged back to the sea. And this pure water that we are getting from the membranes, the reverse osmosis process, needs to be remineralized
Mm-hmm.
and disinfected. And then this is the fourth step
Mm-hmm.
of this process. So 4 steps. I mean, to sum up: intake pumping,
Mm-hmm.
pre-filtration, reverse osmosis, and then remineralization. I would say potabilization of the water, and then the water can be sent into the networks for distribution.
Very clear.
Thank you.
Very, very clear. I'm just curious to know, so how long does it take from the moment you pump the water to the moment, I basically have access myself as a citizen to the water?
I mean, on your tap.
Yes.
I mean, in your house. I mean, it depends, because the water can be stored, in
Mm-hmm.
reservoir among the networks.
Mm-hmm.
So usually it should not take more than 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question. So the desalination plants, do they have to be near the sea? Because you said we pump the water, so I'm just curious as well.
I mean, it's recommended.
Okay.
If you want to avoid long transportation, and if you want to avoid also to have to consume more and more electricity, energy to pump the water. But of course, it's not mandatory to be close and nearby the coast.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on each site.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very interesting. Can you share any examples of desalination projects Veolia has carried out that have made a significant impact?
Well, there are many. Veolia is in this industry for decades now, and I can say that some of the most biggest desalination plants in this world have been built by Veolia. The plants built and operated by Veolia are producing around 7 million of cubic meter of desalinated water every day. 7 million of cubic meter is enough to supply a bit less than 20 million of people every day. In Oman, Veolia is actually the first producer of drinking water using desalination.
Mm-hmm.
We are operating 3 big desalination plants in this country. One in Barca, close to Muscat, the capital city. One in Sour, in the Sharkia region. And one in Salalah, the big city at the south of the country, close to Yemen border. 1/3 of the drinking water consumed in this country every day means actually that Veolia has a big responsibility in this country. We are in a strategic sector, and it's for us a very important footprint that we are trying to make the more performing as possible, because we know that the country is relying on those plants to supply the people with potable water.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a huge responsibility for Veolia.
It's a huge responsibility. Just to come back to your question and to tell you how much this market is important for Veolia. Actually, quite recently, 1 month ago, Veolia won a new contract in the UAE. It will be the second largest desalination plant in the world using reverse osmosis technology, and it will be the largest one powered by solar energy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's quite impressive, right?
It's very, very impressive. What triggers the decision to start a new desalination plant? Because I guess, is the demand increasing? That's one of the triggers for Dubai, for instance.
The demand is, like I said, increasing, but some plants also are getting older.
Yeah.
And you have to
modernize, I guess.
Yeah, you have to build new ones. The technologies also are progressing, and it can be quite interesting for our clients to move to a more performing technology. And the point is in this new contract in Dubai, for instance, in that this plant, like I said, will be using renewable energy, and it will be also one of the most energy efficient desalination plant that will be built in this market.
Exciting projects.
Yeah. Definitely.
Very interesting, Erwan. So can we speak now about green desalination?
Totally, Nadine. And speaking of green desalination, by the way, in Oman, in Sour, we are now very proud to say that we are operating the first of its kind desalination plant, 100% power with solar panels, renewable energy during daylight. The solar panel project was inaugurated in Sour last year, and we are very proud of it. Very proud of it.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Moving on, I want to learn more about what are the advantages and disadvantages, because I guess there are a couple of disadvantages to desalination.
Well, of course, I'm speaking about my business. So if you are asking me if there is disadvantages, I would say not so much. But let's be fair. What is sure is that there is more advantages than disadvantages. Coming back to the downsides, some ecologists used to point out the high level of energy consumption required by a desalination plant, and also some ecologists highlighted the fact that the brine discharge that I mentioned when I was explaining the key step of the process, this brine discharge, this salty concentration of water, might have an impact on the marine life. Let's talk first about the energy consumption. The industry has made, I would say, continuous progress on that matter. On average, you need 3 kilowatt per cubic meter produced. This is the average now. 10 years ago, we were above 4 kilowatt. So just to explain to you what kind of progress have been made in just only 10 years. The energy consumption of a desalination plant has been reduced by almost 30% in only 10 years. Like I said, now we can use renewable energy. The renewable energies have become more and more competitive compared to the electricity that you can get from the grid. And now it's helping the desalination to be more sustainable in a way, energy-wise. On the brine discharge impact, this is an allegation that a group like Veolia has been always taking very seriously. And in a plant like Sour, we have actually hired a consultancy firm to survey and monitor the impact of this brine discharge on the marine life in the vicinity of the plant. And the results of this survey, so we send divers into the sea, to be concrete, to count the fishes, to look at the species all around the plant. The outcome of this survey is quite astonishing, quite surprising. There is more fishes and species than ever in this area, for a simple reason. If you remember, I mentioned the seawater intake. It's a big infrastructure, a big submarine infrastructure. This submarine infrastructure has become, over the years, a sort of artificial reefs. And the fishes are using this reef to nest and to grow, just, I would say, nearby the plant. So, brine discharge is obviously a matter that can be considered seriously when it comes to desalination. But what is sure is that the Sour example is also showing that just beside a desalination plant, somehow the biodiversity can be still growing. And I think this survey is just demonstrating that a desalination plant can be also eco-friendly in a way, against all kinds of, pre-received ideas.
Very interesting, and thanks for being very transparent about the disadvantages. And I guess you're going to continue monitoring the impact on the marine life.
We are updating this survey every 2 to 3 years. We are sending divers to look at those fishes every 2 to 3 years. Yeah, sure.
Amazing. You touched upon the energy-intensive process that desalination is. How do you minimize the environmental impact of desalination plants, for instance, in Oman?
Well, like I said, Nadine, the group and I would say the whole industry have made continuous progresses over the last years to reduce the energy consumption of desalination plants. In Oman, actually, in Barka, to be precise, we are maybe operating one of the plant consuming the less energy in the world. If you remember, I mentioned this ratio of 3 kilowatt per cubic meter desalinated. In Barka, we are very proud to show that we can produce a cubic meter of desalinated water just using 2.85 kilowatt per cubic meter. It's maybe a sort of a record in this industry. And on the other end, and I already mentioned it, renewable energies now are more and more accessible. And this is what we just did in Sour with this solar farm project. This plant is now 100% powered by solar panels during daylight hours, and it's allowing us to avoid something like 30,000 tons of CO2 every year. So this is an example showing that desalination can be now sustainable, greener, and eco-friendly.
That's amazing, and I think you expressed very well the progression that this technology has made when it comes to energy consumption in the last 10 years.
Yeah, totally.
Amazing. So we're definitely in a region that will continue relying on desalination for drinking water.
Definitely.
As you said, like 80 to 90% of the region, needs desalination. So when it comes to innovation, what is the future of desalination as a technology?
So I do believe that in the future, beyond the price, there will be more concern about the performance of the plant, the reliability of the assets, the decarbonation, of course. I mean, we'll have to be more sustainable. We'll have to be greener in our solution. And a group like Veolia has anticipated it. We have launched recently our new strategic plan named Green Up. And the aim of this plan is to provide the market with sustainable, low carbon, energy efficient solution. And this is totally, in my opinion, sticking with what will be the future of this desalination market.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and it's a trend that we've seen across all industries, and not only, environmental services like Veolia, provides. Honestly, very, very interesting, Erwan. I know you made a lot of effort to make it simple for our audience because it's not an easy topic, desalination.
I tried.
You made a good job. You made a really good job. I learned a lot. Thanks you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining us from Oman in recording this podcast in Dubai. And I look forward to meeting you again.
Same for me. It was a great pleasure. Thank you, Nadine.
Thanks, Erwan. A big thank you to Erwan Rouxel for sharing his expertise on desalination with us today on the Let's Turn the Tide podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe to Veolia's YouTube channel and search for Veolia Near and Middle East on all your favorite podcast platforms. You can also follow Veolia Near and Middle East on all social media platforms. And stay tuned for our upcoming episodes.